Good evening, everybody. On behalf of Porter's Park Avenue, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out and joining us tonight. Tonight we're very pleased and proud to have Deborah Berndt, CHT, with us. Ms. Berndt is the world's leading love hypnotist and an internationally recognized relationship expert. She's appeared among other media outlets, ABC News, Playboy Radio, Life Coach TV, MSN, Match.com. She offers private sessions, seminars, a weekly radio show, and self-hypnosis programs. She also has a private practice here in New York. She's here tonight to discuss her new book, Let Love In. So after her presentation, she'll be happy to answer any questions you may have, and then sign copies of the book, which you can pay for on the way out after tonight's presentation. So please, join me now in welcoming Deborah Berndt, CHT.
Hi, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming tonight. I want to start off by saying I wasn't always a love expert. And if you knew me about 10 years ago and you told me that I would have a book about love and that I was a dating expert and that I would be here today, I would laugh at you because I was really a disaster with love my whole life. And can everyone hear me okay? Okay, great. Just to give you an example, we all have these times in our life when we're dating that we have these experiences where we have this wake-up call. And I had one of those wake-up calls about 7 years ago. I was sitting at a bar in Aspen, and I was sitting there with a lemon drop martini and a cell phone waiting for a guy to call me, which a lot of single people out there would probably relate to, someone not calling. And as I sat there, my friends were with me, and they were out picking up other guys in the bar and having a good time. And I was just sitting there waiting for this guy that I had met a couple months ago. We had this long-distance relationship, and he was supposed to meet me out. Earlier in that day, he disappeared for a couple hours, and I still was waiting for this guy to call. And that was basically the pattern in my life. I kept being attracted to these men that just weren't capable of loving me back. And so as I'm sitting there, I start making up this thought in my mind that, you know, maybe it's me, maybe I'm intruding on his weekend, and you know, we're in Aspen and he's having a great time with his friends, and I really started thinking it's my fault for some reason, like I was in the way. And then something happened. I looked down the bar while I was waiting for him. He didn't know I was there, and he was there with another girl. And I just kept thinking, why does this keep happening to me? Why is this pattern keep happening? And so instead of getting hard on myself at that point, it was as if something opened up in me, and it was this idea, this voice that came in my mind, that it was like the clouds parted, and this voice said, you deserve more. And so at that point I realized I didn't have to wait for him to get his approval and get him to like me. I could choose too. I could make the choice of who I want to be with. And so needless to say, I never saw him again, and I ended up leaving, going back to Denver, and I lived in Colorado at the time. And about a month later, I got laid off from my job. And so I went to hypnotherapy school. And at hypnotherapy school, I realized what happened and why I kept having so much struggle with love. And I learned about the subconscious mind. And it was almost like I wish I would have known this information sooner, because I could have saved myself a lot of heartache. And that's why I wrote the book, because I want people to know really the power of the subconscious and how it can affect your life. You see, we think we consciously attract people into our life. We choose who we're attracted to, but we're not. Our subconscious chooses for us. And most of us don't really know what our subconscious mind, what's in it. So we think it's just we're in love with someone or we're attracted to someone, but it's our subconscious that's really driving us to certain types of people. Now, if you think about your conscious mind, what you're aware of, it's such a small percentage of who you are and your life. And your subconscious is really a pattern of being that runs underneath the surface that you really can't see, but it really runs your entire life. So if you think about it, a great metaphor is a little baby riding a giant elephant, and that little baby is your conscious mind. and the elephant is your subconscious. And your subconscious is so large and so powerful compared to that little tiny baby. And it's as if the baby says, I want to go left, but the elephant wants to go right. And no matter how hard the baby wants to go left, the elephant will turn and do what it wants. And so that's what happens in our life. We consciously want good things, we want great relationships, but this elephant of our subconscious drives us to the people that will maybe break our heart or drive us to hide from relationships. And even though we consciously want it, the subconscious is so powerful that it could stop your efforts. And until your conscious mind and subconscious are in alignment with the same idea, where they want to go the same direction, you're always going to feel that struggle. You probably have experienced that if you ever tried to lose weight and your head's saying, I really should not eat that donut, but in your stomach is saying, ooh, but that looks really good, and you're pulled into the old behavior again. That's the subconscious mind. And for me, I found out that my subconscious was guiding me to people that wouldn't love me back or couldn't love me back. And no matter what I did, I was always, even if they seemed good on paper, it was always leads me back to the same story. And so what happens in life is that we attract people in life like a puzzle piece. Our subconscious mind matches someone else's, and we kind of fit together. So if you're a type of person that feels like she's not good enough or he's not good enough, you're going to attract someone that treats you that way. Or you're going to attract someone that's highly critical, or maybe not attract anyone at all because you don't feel good enough. So if you don't change that, you're always going to keep attracting that same pattern. And since you can't see the subconscious, all you can do is look at the patterns in your life and see what you've created so far. And then you can really see what's in your subconscious mind. Now, how did this all happen? Like, how did I end up having a subconscious that didn't want love? I mean, why does that happen? Well, when we were born these beautiful, perfect beings, these little babies. If you've ever been around a newborn baby, they're just so pure and good. And we go through life as a young person, and we learn things about ourselves, and we start making stories of how good we are, and we're told that we're not good enough, and we're criticized, and we're even receive information that isn't very kind. Sometimes adults say mean things, and they don't mean to, but they do. Teachers compare you to other students, and you don't feel you're smart enough or good enough, or that you're lovable enough. And sometimes there's always a time in our life where we reach out for love, and we reach out for someone to give us love. And every one of us had an experience where that love wasn't returned. Whether it was a simple thing like you needed a hug and mom was too busy, or dad was too busy, or you needed someone to tell you were good and you weren't told that you were good. So you create these stories in your mind that kind of cover up that beautiful bright light that you used to be. And so what happens is that becomes the template of our subconscious, of what we live in, all these stories and ideas that we make up from when we're very young. And then around 9 years old, it kind of gets set, almost like clay that hardens, and it's really hard to change after that point. And as a child, since we're wide open like a sponge to be formulating our subconscious, we take everything very literally, and we don't have the analysis of an adult to disagree with things that are told us. So everything basically gets dumped in. Even conversations that you hear as a child may not be about you, but you could have perceived they were about you. So then you become caught up in this idea that wasn't even about you, and you make this story up, and it becomes part of your subconscious. So many times people are adults, and they come to me and they don't know why they can't find love, and why they don't feel so bad about themselves, why they're not confident. And it's because of some weird thing that happened when they were kids that may not have had any relevance to an adult mind, but to a child it meant everything. And so that's why it's really hard to understand the subconscious as something logical, because it's not.